When an interstellar empire threatens Earth, the answer comes from a hidden gateway to another dimension. A fearless captain leads his ship through a portal to the astral plane, navigating cosmic forces and unknown entities. What they discover will challenge their understanding of the universe. Welcome to my channel. Don't forget to subscribe and share your comments about the exciting end of the story, the Astral Gateway. Let the story begin. The year was 2347, and the universe felt on the verge of exploding with tension. The Milky Way, a canvas of contrasting serenity and chaos, stretched vast and mysterious. Earth, now the heart of the United Earth Federation, was a fortress of resilience amidst a spectrum of alien races. Distant stars flickered like ancient sentinel watches, casting feeble light on interstellar war zones, echoing with the clamor of conflict. Captain Jackson Harper stood on the bridge of the UEF flagship, Resolute. A seasoned space commander, he exuded an aura of rugged confidence. His eyes, sharp and calculating, scanned a holographic display showcasing the expanding Rakash Empire's movements. "We're spread too thin," he muttered, the weight of responsibility palpable in his voice. Dr. Alara Voss stepped beside him. Her presence was a contrast. Where Harper wore years of combat visibly, Voss carried her brilliance with an elegant grace. "There's something you need to see, Captain." Her voice had that rare blend of urgency and excitement that made Harper raise an eyebrow. "You found something?" Harper asked, tearing his gaze away from the battlefield simulations. In the secluded depths of the ship's science bay, an energy pulsated in a contained sphere, a swirling vortex of rippling colors. Voss gestured at the contained anomaly. "We call it the Astral Gateway. It's not just a phenomenon, it's a portal to another realm, a place of pure energy and thought." Harper looked skeptical. "And we plan to use this how?" Voss sighed, the enormity of her discovery weighing heavily on her. "Time functions differently there. We can traverse vast distances in the blink of an eye. We could launch surprise attacks, but there are risks." "Risks?" Harper's eyes narrowed. "The human mind isn't meant for the astral plane," Voss admitted. "It can cause instability, hallucinations, mental breakdown. But it might be our only shot against the Rakash." Grim acceptance settled over Harper. "We've got no choice. We either take this gamble or watch the Rakash burn our home. How soon can we be ready?" Voss hesitated, but the resolve in her voice was firm. "I'll prepare the gateway for a small fleet, but we need to brief the crew. They deserve to understand the risks." The ship's mess hall buzzed with subdued conversations as Harper, Voss, and their top officers convened. Lieutenant Renovale, the tactical genius, leaned forward, her eyes fixed on Voss. "So this is a shortcut?" "More like a dimension with its own rules," Voss explained. "But it's hostile. The human brain doesn't adapt easily." Rena smirked. "We've faced hostile environments before. We adapt." Harper interjected. "This is different. It affects your mind, your senses. You need to be prepared for that." Valda Thorak, the ship's chief engineer, rumbled from his corner. "I'm more concerned about the machinery. Can our tech withstand it?" Voss nodded. "The gateway's energy is unpredictable, but I've made adjustments. We'll need constant monitoring." Harper scanned the faces around him, each carrying determination mixed with concealed fear. "We all know what's at stake. If this works, we can deliver a blow the Rakash won't see coming, but be ready for anything." As the crew dispersed to their tasks, Harper lingered, Voss at his side. She looked up at him, concern evident. "Are you sure about this?" "There are no certainties in war," Harper said quietly, "but we've come this far by taking risks. This gateway might be our only hope." In the silence of observation, the swirling colors of the astral gateway seemed almost serene, belying the chaos it promised. Harper knew that beyond that gateway lay not just the key to victory, but also the edge of sanity where every decision could mean salvation or ruin, and he had to guide his crew through it. Harper stood at the gateway's threshold, a kaleidoscope of colors reflected in his stern gaze. The crew prepared the Resolute for its first voyage into the astral plane. Those who volunteered were the best, skilled, and brave. But today their courage was tempered by an unfamiliar uncertainty. Lieutenant Renovale scanned the final coordinates on her console. All systems ready, Captain, she reported, her voice steady despite the unease that tugged at the corners of her mind. Initiate the sequence, Harper ordered. The hum of machinery mingled with the distant thrum of energy, a prelude to the journey ahead. Voss's console beeped with a rapid staccato. Energy levels are stabilizing. We're forming the connection. Her fingers flew across the controls, her brilliance the linchpin of this entire operation. As the gateway flared to life, the ship shook, a tangible resistance to the unnatural forces at play. Harper gripped the edge of his command chair. Stay focused, everyone. The landscape outside the ship began to blur and twist, merging with the cascading colors of the astral plane. The transition was disorienting, like being torn from one reality and thrust into another. Crew members struggled to maintain their composure as the environment shifted. Report! Harper barked, his voice cutting through the chaos. Rena's voice trembled but held firm. We're inside, Captain. Coordinates matched. We should arrive in the designated sector within... She paused, staring at her readouts. It's instantaneous, sir. We're here. The ship emerged into an eerie expanse, starlit with ethereal glow. The normalcy of space seemed absent, replaced by an endless sea of swirling energies. Thorak, monitoring the ship's integrity, frowned. Structural integrity is holding, but there's a strain on the energy fields. It's like nothing our ships faced before. Harper nodded. Maintain course. His eyes scanned the bridge, catching the strained expressions of his crew. The pressure of command weighed heavily, but he couldn't afford to show doubt. Voss's console flashed a warning. She adjusted her glasses, peering intently. We're picking up something. It's not physical. It's an energy fluctuation, but it's moving intelligently. On screen, Harper commanded, steeling himself. The holographic display showed a form composed of shimmering light, almost serpentine. It moved with a fluid grace, inspecting the ship. The crew watched, mesmerized and wary. What is that? Rena whispered, unable to tear her eyes away. Voss's voice was a mix of awe and concern. I believe it's one of the cosmic entities. I didn't expect them to notice us so quickly. Harper leaned forward. Are they a threat? Uncertain, Voss replied. But they are powerful. We must proceed with caution. The entity glowed brighter, an almost inquisitive presence. Suddenly it merged with the ship's systems, causing flickers of light and disruptions. The crew gasped as they felt an almost tangible pulse within their minds. Shields up! Secure all stations! Harper's command snapped the crew into action, but the pressure inside their heads grew, an insidious probing. Rena gritted her teeth. It's like it's inside my mind, she said, her voice strained. Voss focused on a nearby console, fingers dancing over keys. I'm trying to stabilize it. If we can show we're not hostile, it might withdraw. The holographic form responded to Voss's adjustments, its light fluctuating. Slowly the pressure eased, and the entity withdrew from the ship's systems. It hovered briefly, then vanished into the astral fold. The crew exhaled almost collectively, the intensity of the experience leaving them shaken. Harper looked at Voss, who was pale but composed. What just happened? We made contact, Voss replied quietly, and it didn't destroy us. That's a positive. Harper's jaw tightened. We need to continue, but let's be prepared for more encounters. Thorak, keep the ship's systems monitored. Rena, maintain our course and watch for any anomalies. As the Resolute advanced deeper into the astral plane, the crew braced themselves. They had crossed a threshold into an unknown realm, and every moment held the promise of discovery or disaster. Harper knew the true challenge was not just in navigating this space, but in keeping his crew focused and sane amidst the unearthly wonders and terrors that awaited them. The Resolute sailed through the astral plane, its crew silent but tense. The ethereal glow outside fluctuated, casting shifting patterns on the ship's metallic surfaces. Harper sat in his command chair, his focus unwavering despite the surreal surroundings. The initial shock of the journey hadn't left them, but his crew needed his strength now more than ever. Lieutenant Rena Vale kept her eyes on the navigation console. Captain, we're approaching the designated drop point. Good, Harper replied firmly. Prepare to exit the astral plane. We need to strike the Rakash fleet before they can react. Valda Thorak monitored the ship's integrity, his burly arms moving with a surprising delicacy over the sensitive equipment. Energy fields stable, hull integrity at optimal levels. Harper looked over at Dr. Alara Voss, who was deep in concentration. "Doctor, are we ready to re-enter normal space?" Voss nodded, her usually composed demeanor strained. "Yes, Captain. But remember, transitioning back might attract more astral entities. We need to be quick." "Everyone, brace yourselves," Harper called out. "We're dropping out of Astral in 3, 2, 1. The ship shuddered, and light distorted around them. In a flash, the Resolute emerged into cold, familiar space. The crew breathed easier, but the respite was brief. Alarms blared as the display filled with red blips. Rakash warships. "Enemy ships on all vectors!" Rena shouted, her fingers dancing over the controls. "Battle stations!" Harper's voice cut through the alarm. "Thorak, power to shields and weapons. Voss, any signs of astral entities?" "Not yet, Captain," Voss replied. Her attention split between the readouts in a growing sense of unease. The first volleys from the Rakash shattered the momentary calm, beams of energy lighting up the void. The Resolute's shields flared under impact, but held. "Return fire," Harper commanded. The ship's cannons roared to life, sending volleys towards the nearest Rakash destroyer. Thorak's gruff voice provided a rare sense of comfort. "Shields at 85%, weapon systems fully operational." On screen, a Rakash cruiser exploded, the fiery wreckage illuminating the battlefield. Harper allowed himself a brief nod of satisfaction, but the Rakash weren't deterred. More ships closed in, and their tactics grew more coordinated. Harper could see Cathal's influence, the alien warlord's cunning reflected in their maneuvers. "Captain, they're adapting too quickly," Rena warned, her voice edged with worry. Harper's mind raced. They needed an edge. "Dr. Voss, can we use any of the astral energy?" Voss hesitated, then nodded sharply. "I can try to harness the residual energy from our transition. It could give our weapons a significant boost." "Do it," Harper ordered, sweat beading on his forehead. "Thorak, prepare to channel the energy Voss directs to our main cannons." Voss moved with precision, her fingers gliding over the controls to siphon residual astral energy. On the main display, the cannon's energy levels spiked. "Ready, Captain," Thorak confirmed. Harper took a deep breath. "Target the Rakash flagship. Fire!" A beam of pure, iridescent energy shot out from the Resolute, hitting the Rakash flagship with unrestrained force. The ship's shields flared intensely before collapsing entirely, the hull rupturing in multiple places. The destruction spread like ripples in a pond, the flagship's demise a devastating blow to the Rakash fleet. Cheers erupted on the Resolute's bridge, but Harper's focus remained. Status on remaining enemy ships. Rena checked her console. "They're retreating. We've broken their formation." Harper allowed himself a rare smile. "Thorak, keep shields up. Voss, any signs of astral backlash?" Voss scanned the readouts, her expression a mix of concentration and relief. "Nothing yet, Captain. We might have just pulled this off." As the Rakash fleet scattered into the void, the crew on the bridge relaxed. Harper stood tall, his presence a bulwark against the uncertainty that had clouded their mission. "Good work, everyone. We'll have time to breathe once we're sure the Rakash are truly withdrawing. Stay alert and prepare for possible counterattacks." In that moment of victorious calm, the swirling colors of the astral plane seemed a distant memory. But Harper knew that while today they had tasted victory, tomorrow could bring new challenges. Holding on to this fragile edge of sanity and strength was the only way to steer his crew through whatever came next. The Resolute floated in the aftermath of battle, its hull scarred but resilient. Harper stood by the viewport, looking at the wreckage of the Rakash fleet. The scene was eerily calm, a stark contrast to the chaos that had just ensued. But he knew it was a lull before the storm. "Captain," Voss said, softly approaching him, "I've been monitoring the astral plane. There are disturbances, larger than anything we've encountered." Harper turned, his face unreadable. "Disturbances? Are we at risk?" Voss hesitated. "It's hard to say. The energy fluctuations suggest something powerful is stirring. We might have drawn attention again." "Attention from the entities?" Harper's eyes narrowed. "Do we need to prepare for another encounter?" Before Voss could respond, alarms blared again. Rena's voice cut through the noise. Captain, we've got incoming signals. More Rakash ships, and they're not retreating this time. Harper snapped into action. Battle stations! Thorak, power up the weapons. Voss, I need you to find a way to use the astral energy again. Voss nodded, rushing back to her console. I'll do what I can, Captain. The Rakash ships emerged from hyperspace, a formation more menacing and strategic. At their center was a massive dreadnought, marked with the insignia of a warlord, the unmistakable mark of Cathal. Thorak's voice was steady. Shields at full strength, weapon systems online. Harper watched the enemy fleet close in. This is it, he murmured. Rena, prepare our counterattack. We need to hold them off until Voss can channel more energy. Yes, Captain, Rena replied, her hands moving deftly over the controls. As the Rakash opened fire, the Resolute shuddered under the impact. Harper gripped the armrest of his chair, his eyes fixed on the battle unfolding outside. Return fire, Harper commanded. The Resolute's cannons roared to life, sending beams of energy towards the approaching ships. Explosions flared in the void, but the Rakash pressed on, their determination undeterred. Voss's console beeped as she worked, her brow furrowed in concentration. Captain, I'm almost there. Just a few more minutes. We don't have a few minutes, Harper muttered, watching as the dreadnought readied its main cannon. Rena, evasive maneuvers. The Resolute veered sharply, narrowly avoiding the dreadnought's devastating beam. The ship rattled, but Harper's crew held firm, their training and resolve unyielding. Now, Voss, Harper shouted. We need that energy. With a final tap on her console, Voss unleashed the harnessed astral energy. The ship's main cannons glowed with an otherworldly light, a shimmering brilliance that contrasted the cold void of space. Target the dreadnought, Harper ordered, his voice steely. Fire! The beam of astral energy shot out, more potent than before, slicing through the dreadnought's shields and hull. The ship convulsed, explosions rippling through its structure until it finally disintegrated in a brilliant burst. Cheers echoed through the Resolute's bridge, but the battle was not yet won. The Rakash fleet, now leaderless, fought with a desperate fury. Harper knew the astral energy couldn't be wielded indefinitely. The mental strain on Voss was evident, her face pale and worn. Captain, Thorak called out, our shields are weakening. We can't take much more. Harper looked at Voss, a silent question in his eyes. She nodded weakly. I can stabilize it one more time. Do it, Harper said firmly. Rena, one last push. We need to break their formations. Voss channeled the remaining astral energy, her hands trembling with the effort. The ship's cannons powered up again, the ethereal glow bathing the bridge in an unsettling light. Fire, Harper commanded, and the Resolute's cannons unleashed their fury. The beam tore through the Rakash ships, scattering the fleet and causing massive casualties. The fight began to turn, the remaining Rakash ships faltering and then retreating. Harper watched as the remnants of the enemy fleet scattered into the void. Relief washed over him, but only for a moment. His gaze turned to Voss, who slumped in her chair, exhausted but alive. Status report, Harper demanded, his voice tempered by the weight of command. Thorak responded first. Shields at 30%, hull integrity compromised but holding. We've sustained damage, but we'll make it. Rena added, enemy ships retreating. We've broken their assault. Harper nodded, his mind already turning to the next step. Good work, everyone. We've won this battle, but we need to regroup. Maintain alert status until we're sure they're gone for good. As the crew settled back into their stations, Harper walked over to Voss. Her eyes met his, weary but resolute. We did it, she said softly. We did, Harper agreed, but we need to be ready for whatever comes next. This was just a taste of what the astral plane can offer. We've got to stay sharp. Voss nodded, understanding the weight of his words. They had harnessed a new power, but it had come with a cost. The path ahead was uncertain, but united in purpose, they would face it together. For now, victory had lent them a brief but invaluable reprieve, a chance to prepare for the unknown challenges that lay ahead. The Resolute floated in the calm of victory, but the bruises of battle were evident. Sparks flew from damaged conduits, and the hum of emergency systems filled the air. Harper stood at his command post, surveying the bridge and his crew, who moved with the weariness of hard-won triumph. Engine room, status report, Harper called, his tone focused but with an undercurrent of care. Valdethorak's voice crackled through the comms. Repairs underway, Captain. It'll take time, but we'll get the Resolute back to full strength. Harper nodded. Good, keep me updated. From her station, Renavale ran diagnostics, her fingers dancing over the console. Captain, long-range scanners are picking up residual energy signatures. The Rakash seem to have retreated for now, but we should stay vigilant. Agreed, Harper said. Keep a close watch. Nearby, Elara Voss sat at her console, visibly exhausted but already analyzing the data from their encounter. Harper approached her slowly, his face softening with concern. How are you holding up, Elara? Voss looked up, managing a tired smile. I'll be fine, Captain. The strain was intense, but I'm more worried about the long-term effects on the crew and our ability to use the astral energy. We'll have to ration its use, Harper said thoughtfully. It's a powerful tool, but not without its risks. Voss nodded. I've been thinking about that. We need to find a way to better shield our minds from the astral plane's effects. Prolonged exposure could lead to instability. We'll work on it, Harper assured her. But for now, you should rest. You've done more than anyone could have asked. Voss hesitated, then sighed. All right, but only for a little while. There's still so much we don't understand about this new realm. As Voss made her way to her quarters, Harper turned back to the bridge, his mind already on the next steps. Rena, contact UAF Command. We need to report our status and get reinforcements out here. Yes, Captain, Rena replied, her voice steady and professional. While they waited for a response, the crew continued their repairs and duties. The bridge was filled with a quiet determination, a shared understanding of the price they had paid and the battle still ahead. The comms crackled to life, and the face of Admiral Decker appeared on the screen, his expression one of both relief and concern. Captain Harper, good to see you're still with us. We received your preliminary report. The Rakash took a heavy hit, but they'll be back. Understood, Admiral, Harper said. We're conducting repairs and maintaining vigilance. We need reinforcements and more intel on their movements. Reinforcements are en route, Decker confirmed, and we've picked up a significant Rakash buildup near the Vega system. They might be planning another offensive. Harper straightened. We'll be ready, Admiral. And there's something else. We've been using the astral plane for tactical advantage, but it comes with significant risks to the crew's mental stability. Decker's expression grew serious. Do whatever it takes to keep your crew safe, Captain. Your reports on the astral plane are invaluable, but we can't afford to lose our best people in the process. Aye, sir, Harper replied. We'll proceed with caution. As the communication ended, Harper knew the challenges ahead were immense. The Rakash were far from defeated, and the astral plane's mysteries loomed large. He walked across the bridge, placing a hand on Rena's shoulder. We've won a battle, but the war is far from over. Let's make sure we're ready for whatever comes next. Rena nodded, her resolve mirrored in the faces of the remaining crew. We will be, Captain. In the quiet that followed, Harper found a moment of reflection. The astral gateway had given them an edge, but it had also opened new doors. Doors to power, to danger, and to the unknown. Together, they had to navigate this path, balancing on the knife edge of victory and vulnerability. The stars outside seemed to pulse with a new rhythm, a reminder of the endless expanse they had yet to explore and defend. As Harper stood amidst his crew, he knew they faced not just battles with alien forces, but with the very forces of the cosmos themselves. Their unity, strength, and resilience would be their greatest weapons in the days to come. All right, he said, his voice carrying the weight of command and the hope of humanity. Let's get to work.